Okay, you guys, good morning, good morning, good morning. Here we are, Coffee and Create with Brenda. Happy April, April 2nd, Saturday. Time for coffee and create. So, as you can see, there's a little bit of a mess back here, but I've got lots to show you today. And I'm going to do a little follow-up too on from last week. So as you can see, I'm home. I'm back in my stamping studio. And while it's always fun to visit with my sister, it's always good to be home too. So anyway, here we go. This is, I was thinking about, I should start counting episodes. I have to turn my volume down here. It's driving me crazy. I get like an echo. Okay, there we go. It's all better now. All right. So, do I have anybody on? I don't know. I'm kind of nervous. I'm not seeing anybody on, but I'm going to go ahead because I think everything's going fine. So, as you know, last week I demonstrated the Beyond the Horizon paper pumpkin kit. Love, love, love that kit. Usually I do alternatives to my paper pumpkins. Not that I don't like the layouts, but it's always just kind of fun to look at something new. Well, last for the kit this month, I did nothing different. I absolutely loved those layouts, and I have a little bit more to show you, not with the paper pumpkin, but I want to talk to you about the product coordination and the color coordination with Stampin' Up. And I'm telling you, straight from me and everybody else, Stampin' Up is the leader in coordinating their colors and their products. So let's flip down to my workstation and we will get started. So one thing I want to share with you, being it's April, I do have a new host code up here. This month, when you place a $50 order, you will receive a pack of the Resin Star embellishments from the Hey Sports Fan. So I don't know about any of you, but I've been following the women's basketball tournament. And oh my gosh, those games last night were just like nail biters. Not so much the Louisville game, but I'm telling you, UConn and Stanford was like nuts. Good morning, Kathy. I'm glad to see you're on. I was getting a little bit nervous, like, do I have anybody watching me this morning or not? So anyway, this month with a $50 product order, you will receive a pack of the Resin Stars. And of course, a thank you card made by me. All right. So today, let me follow up or recap a little bit from last week. So, you know, these were the cards, the 3 designs from Paper Pumpkin that we did last Saturday, right? And I was kind of sad when I had 3 of these, 3 of these, 3 of these, and it's like, I love these cards and I want more. Well, let me show you what we have. In the January through June mini, on page 42, you can see this New Horizons suite of products. Now, there is one thing I need to tell you. The collection is not available any longer, and it's only because these little pebble enamel shapes are sold out. And I don't know if they're coming back or not, but you can still order the stamp set and the dies, and they're gorgeous. And this paper is back, and it is stunning. You will not want to waste one little scrap of this paper, and I'll show you why. So here's the stamp set. Here's the dies. And there's 10 dies. So you get like this background, you get a couple of the fences, the grass, some little trees, snow caps for your mountains, and then some landscape pieces. And I do have a couple cards to show you today using this set. So here is the paper. And I've been through this before, and normally I do a paper sampler, but I just couldn't cut this to do a sampler because there's just too many good pieces. So front and back. Front and back. Isn't it awesome? I have one that I'm going to show you using this piece today. And then I have another one I'm going to show you how to make using this piece. So there's a pack of paper, which I love this paper, but I've kind of been hoarding it, and I don't know why. You know how sometimes you just get pretty paper and you hate to cut it? Well, that's kind of where I'm at with that. I'm going to take down my host code. If you are planning to order from me this month, you know that you can go to createwithbrenda.com and you can always see my host code specials there, or you can go out to my demonstrator website and it's on there as well. All right, so for our cards, let's get started. I have to grab my Big Shot. Give me just 1 sec, or my Stampin' Cut and Emboss. Where did Big Shot come from? What? So I'm going to set that right here for now. And here's the card that we're going to do today. I love this card. It's so simple. Little bit of die cutting, little bit of the embossing folder. And the embossing folder that we're going to use today is the Painted Textures 3D folder. And as all I have is just a standard card base. Hi, Marlene. Good morning. All right, so our standard card base, right? Match up our edges. Grab our, missing a bone folder. Grab, I know where it is. I was working over in a different area. So we'll just grab it. There we go. Give that a good crease. I have a piece of Evening Evergreen, and this measures, guys, I have to think about this a second. What's going on here with me this morning? I know what's going on. We have On Tour this morning. Starting at 11 o'clock, I get to learn how to use all of the new products, or some of the new products from the new catalog, which, by the way, is in my hands. This measures 4 by 5 1/4. And then I took a piece of that beautiful On the Horizons paper, and I just cut it in half. So this is 3 inches wide by 5 inches long. So after I emboss, this is going to fit with a little bit wider sides and narrow, but I like it. So let's put this in our embossing folder. Remember, you never want to put your cardstock all the way up to the crease. Always keep it back a little bit from there. And then when you're feeding your embossing folder in, you're going to need plate number 1. And because this is a 3D embossing folder, we just lay this right down on our platform number 1. And then we're going to use platform number 4, or plate number 4, on top. And then we're just simply going to roll this through. All right. So let's see what we've got. And I'm just going to move our die cutting machine, embossing die cutting, out of the way. All right. This Painted Texture embossing folder is beautiful. Can you see all the texture it added on there? And I felt like, I don't know, I can't really describe, but I felt like it um was like a stormy background. Like it felt like the right background. It could be trees, it could be sky, it could be about anything. So that's the painted texture 3D embossing folder. All right, so here's how simple it gets, you guys. I'm going to bring in my silicone mat. I'm going to lay my piece of 3x5 designer series paper. I'm going to bring in my evening evergreen stamp pad, and I'm going to stamp the sentiment right down here at the bottom. Relax and enjoy your day. Then before I put that away, I'm going to take this flock of birds, and that again is in our stamp set here. Ink that up, and I'm just going to stamp them here in the sky where birds belong, right? Right. All right. So next, I want to take our soft succulent ink. Whoops. And I call this like beach grass. I'm just going to ink that up using soft succulent. And I'm going to stamp it kind of right where that pale papaya color meets the trees, just so we get it in the background. And then prior to starting, I had cut out one of the picket fences. There's two, so if you want to make like a gateway, you can do that. But I'm just going to take a little bit of my liquid glue, and I'm going to put a few dots right at the top of each of the fence posts, and then a couple dots in the middle, just enough to hold it down. And then I'm going to set this up so that it's kind of leading out into our field. Then, remember I told you you aren't going to want to throw away a single scrap of this? Well, this is very true. So is what I did is I had this little piece left. So I took the grass die and just laid it on here and die cut that grass. And this is how it looks. So I didn't have to ink this. I didn't have to blend it. I didn't have to do anything. Thank you, Kathy. I think this whole suite of products is just seriously gorgeous. And it makes it so easy to make pretty cards. If you were at our spring retreat, you know that we used this set also to make the peekaboo card. So using the liquid glue, I just glued that piece of beach grass right down onto the card. And this is how simple I kept it. You know me and my dimensionals. I am usually always using dimensionals, or as Marlene calls them, risers. And for this one, I must be getting to the end of my glue bottle. Sad. That's always a good sign though. It means you've been crafting a lot. So you guys, I was telling you, today is on tour. I've got some of my team members coming this morning that signed up for on tour, and we're going to have a little party here. We're going to do some, like a little finger food lunch. I've got the TV in our family room set up so we can watch on tour and get all the great tips and tricks from the from the people in Riverton. So yay for us. It'll be fun. If you are on my team and you want to sign up for on tour or on stage, I would love to have you join us. So you just have to let me know that you signed up and then we gather. All right, so there's the front. I'm going to get my Stampin' Seal. And I'm just going to add a little bit on the back. And then we're going to add this to the front of our card. Like that. This now isn't very nice to do because I just told you you can't order these, but I have them. So I'm using them. And I know you'll understand. But I'm just going to place some of these enamels just right along the fence here. And how fun is that? Pretty card, right? And the thing that I love about this is this could be either masculine or feminine. Doesn't matter. It's scenery. So you can use it for any of those. All right. So there's that. And I have one more. Remember how I told you that, remember last week that it was like the product coordination? Well, if you look at the dies, that came in this month's paper pumpkin. I keep saying last month, I'm sorry. This month's paper pumpkin, those mountains can be simulated right here with these dies. Love it. So for this next card, I'm going to use these landscape pieces. I'm going to use these little trees, and I'll show you a cool way to use those. To move some of my stuff out of the way here so I don't end up with ink everywhere. Okay, so here's our next card. It looks like this. And this is really fun because you can get 2 cards from one piece of that DSP. Good morning, Mary Alice. What a treat to have you join us this morning. All right, so here's the pieces that I have, and I have pre-die cut. I have a piece of pale papaya, and it's scored at 4 1/4. So I'm just going to give it a good crease with my bone folder. I have a piece that measures 4 by 5 1/4. Oh, yay, this is the perfect day. Saturdays are the perfect day for coffee and creating, right? All right, I'm going to zip across with my Stampin' Seal, and I'm just putting the insert in my card. So no big shake there, right? I have a piece of the Designer Series paper, and I chose this because I love this, like the water, but then this looked like a sky to me. So what I did is I cut a piece of Misty Moonlight, which Misty Moonlight is retiring. Sad, but we still have a few months. Well, we have 1 month, almost to the day, to use what we have, but that's okay. And I am going to add that to a piece of Misty Moonlight that measures 3 1/8 by 5 1/8. I just want that tiny little border, okay? So I'm going to add my Stampin' Seal. And I'm going to put that right down onto my piece. You guys, I should tell you my story. So Mary Alice, I have met the most wonderful group of ladies through Stampin' Up. They've always been so good to me. And when we would get together for in person, like they would literally look for me and I would look for them. And we loved spending our days together. So, um, yes, I'm glad you're here, Mary Alice. You guys hold a very special place in my heart. All right. So remember the scraps? Don't throw away your scraps. So I had this piece that, well, it was a little longer than this, but that's what I die cut this from using this landscape piece. And it looked to me, or it resembled closely, um, just kind of those rolling hills, those mountains in the background, if you will. So I'm going to add some Stampin' Seal to my piece. And then I'm just going to set that on my card front, just like so. All right. Then I had cut another one, and this came from like, and don't be afraid to do this because see how I cut those trees out of the bottom of this one? But I still can cut this off at 3 inches and use this top piece for another card. I don't know, this paper, like I said, at first I was having trouble cutting into it, and then it's like, what am I saving this for? It's like, let's use it. So I'm going to add some Stampin' Seal. And normally I'd probably use liquid glue, but you saw my liquid glue just kind of run out on the last card. So I'm just going to put this right where it kind of meets the mountains there. And I see I have just a little piece here that I don't like that I'm going to trim off. Perfect. All right. Then you saw on my piece of designer series paper where I laid down this little tree die and I cut that. I thought these looked like trees that were just leafing. So on this one, I'll see if I can eke out some liquid glue. Here we go. I'm just going to add this little piece of trees like right in here. We'll have those kind of peeking up over those hills in the back. Adds another little dimension of green on there. What do you think so far? And do you notice we haven't stamped anything? All I did was die cut 1, 2, 3 pieces and glued them down. Then I took just again a scrap piece. So is what we're going to do is we're going to take the Thinking of You and using I guess I don't even know what color I put on this one. Oh, I used the Evening Evergreen, so that works. But before I get too far, I do want to wrap some of our linen thread just to give this a little bit more texture. Like I said, I kept everything kind of flat on this card. I'm just going to do a double wrap. And I should tell you too, the inspiration for this card was right out of the mini catalog. So if ever you're kind of stuck for a layout, go to your catalog. It is your best idea book ever, ever. And even if you don't have that suite of products, look at the layout and copy it with something that you do have. All right, so there's that. I'm going to open up my Evening Evergreen. And just on this little scrap piece here, I'm going to ink up and I'm going to stamp. Hi, Nancy. Welcome and good morning. All right. So there's our sentiment. It's a little bit wider than I care to have it. So I'm going to fix it up here a little bit. And using my trimmer, I'm just going to put this right up here, and I can see the cutting trough above and below. So I'm going to push it up to the line up here, and I'm just going to thin that out a little bit. It was, like I said, it was just a little bit wider than I wanted it. All right, save that little scrap for something, I'm sure. I'm going to trim off my ends just a touch. Sometimes when I get down to these thin strips of sentiment, I just have to do this to get them to be the right size. All right, so let's just bring in my favorite, the dimensionals. You knew that I wouldn't be able to go through a whole video without using dimensionals somewhere, didn't you? Well, this is it. Here it is. All right, so I'm just going to bring in my card front, and I'm going to add my little sentiment right in there. I love this. Good morning, Verna. Thank you for joining me. All right. So let's add that to our card front. And there we have a very simple, because we let the designer series paper do the work for us. So there's our card number 2. And you guys, when I looked at this thinking of you, I was thinking, oh gosh, it could be a birthday. It could be simply thinking of you, I miss you. Thanks, Kathy. This is a good layout. And like I said, I was looking for ideas, and I always go straight to my catalogs. The annual catalog and the minis are chocked full of good layout ideas. So here's our cards from today. And I hope you love it. I hope you'll check out that suite of products. Like I said, the collection isn't available only because these pebble enamel shapes are not available right now, but the rest of the suite is. The paper, the dies, the stamp set, and then on this particular card, remember that I used that painted texture 3D embossing folder. All right, you guys, I am off to greet my team members. Like I said, we're gathering today for on tour, so I'm excited. I'm excited to spend the day with them, and I will be back next Saturday at 9 a.m. with another project for us. Have a great rest of your weekend. And again, thank you for joining me. Be sure to share, like, follow. That's how I get more people hopping on and sharing the fun. All right, you guys, have a great weekend. And until next Saturday.